Today we're talking to Joel Comm about how to be successful online. Joel is an internet pioneer. He has a podcast with thousands of followers. He is an internet master, if you will. Joel, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate this.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm enjoying a beautiful sunshiny day in Denver, and let's see if we can come up with some great content.
Nice. It's great. Now, you are an award-winning author. You're a best-selling author, basically. You have written something like 13 or 15 books.
15, yeah.
15 books.
Yeah.
And basically, I wanted to ask, how did you get here? How did you get to the point where you can sit on your balcony with sunglasses and work anywhere in the world you want?
Well, the sunglasses are easy. You just go buy them and put them on. So if you want to get started on that part right now, just run down to the corner store and get some sunglasses.
Right.
As far as the journey itself, it's been a long journey. I got started online when I was 16 years old. Back in 1980, I bought my first computer, and I was dialing in. It was a Tandy TRS-80 Model 1 computer. It had 4K of RAM, and there wasn't even a disk drive. It was a tape cassette player that we used to store data. You'd push play and record, and that's how you move data around. And I had a modem that was a 300 bit per second modem. So in 1980, I was just curious about computers and this new online world. And so I began playing with the technology when I was really young. It was 1995 when I built my first website. And that year, there was something like 18,000 sites in the whole world. And, it wasn't that I saw it and said, hey, I'm going to build a website now because 20 years from now, I'm going to be sitting on my balcony wearing sunglasses and being interviewed by people. I wanted to do it. It looked fun. It looked interesting. I was intrigued by it. And really, if you look through my entire track record of doing business in my life, it's always been that. It's always been, what am I curious about? What toys do I want to play with? Part of my bio says I'm an entitled 12-year-old. And I think that's the curiosity part, I've got the adulting thing down, but growing up is a myth. I don't think we have to do that. It's a mindset. And so all of the things that I've done in my career that have succeeded because I was just curious about something. I wanted to play. And if I write a book, it's because I've done something in the arena and learned something that I want to pass on to others. I never set out to say, I think people can make money or have success doing this. I think I'll go write a book about it. It's never been that. It's always come after the fact, once I believe I have the experience and the knowledge and information to pass on to other people. And it's not complicated. It's people like to overcomplicate how to succeed in life, and I don't think it's complicated.
Yeah, I've noticed you talk a lot about success, especially on stage in your public speaking, and that is actually I'm actually writing 2 books right now, as you know, which is the base of this interview. And I want to get into success later on because I really believe that anyone can succeed, but I want to get into that in a second. I want to ask, what drove you? What was the force behind all this movement? What kept you going?
Well, first of all, I believe I'm unemployable. It's not in my nature to work for others. I have had JOBs, but they don't last very long. Typically, if you're in a job and you start to have ideas, people can be threatened by those ideas. And so those positions never lasted very long. And now that I've worked for myself for, 2.5 decades almost, there's no going back. I can't take a job with anybody. So the first part is it's by necessity. I have to do my own thing. I have to march to my own drummer. And once you've experienced the freedom of working for yourself, every morning people get up early and they get cleaned up and ready, and then they get in traffic and they go to their job. and then they punch the clock all day. They do their job. Some of them love what they do, and so there's nothing wrong with that. And then they face traffic going home. I hardly ever deal with traffic
Yeah.
because my commute it starts in my bed, right? Because in the morning I pick up my phone and I check my email. I'm at work. And then I get up and I go to my office right here in my apartment, and I work when I want to, and because of that, I think you could be more productive. Just because it's 9 to 5, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, doesn't mean it's the best time for you to work. I like to get up leisurely, and then I go take a walk. Here around Denver, I'll walk for an hour, get a few miles in, come back, check the news, maybe check Facebook. And when I'm ready, I'll get going. I mean, honestly, this is, it's noon here right now as we're recording this. And this is the first real work I feel like I've done today. This afternoon, I'll work on putting together a presentation. I'm going to Moscow shortly.
Nice.
to give a talk at a social media forum there. And so I'll work on a presentation, and I'm seeing my daughter tonight. And tomorrow, I might have more work that I do than play. But it's very... I build my schedule around what works for me. And I feel like we're more productive when we have control of all of our time. There's times it's midnight, and I'll do something incredibly productive.
Yeah. But it does require a certain mindset. You can't just say, I'm going to work for my own. I'm not going to work for anybody. And get out of college like all these so-called gurus are saying. You don't need it. I'm just going to sit at home, eat Cheerios, and work whenever I want to work. I'm sure it takes a certain mindset and sort of, how can I put it? Well, mindset, I guess, to do this.
Yeah, the mindset is I do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That really is the mindset, and it's what's worked for me. And in that, there's responsibility, because part of it is I want to be responsible. I want to take care of my obligations. I want to make a living. I want to do the things I want to do, but I want to do them when I want to do them, with the people that I want to do them with, where I want to do it, how I want to do it. As an entrepreneur, you get to make all of those decisions. There's nobody else that you answer to make those decisions. And that type of freedom, to me, has been so liberating. It really is the dream. I am so blessed because I get to live this dream of not answering to anybody else except the Taxman, and doing what I want to do. And this is actually available to everyone.
Yeah.
They just don't believe it, or they don't have the confidence in themselves, or they're scared. What happens if I fail? Believe me, we could talk all day long about success, but failure is a huge part of success. And I've failed way more times than I have succeeded. It's what you do with those that determines whether or not you're going to turn them into your next success.
Yeah. And actually that was my next question, but I wanted to ask before that, what was it like in the early days, and did you go through any disasters? How did you handle it?
Oh boy, did I go through disasters. In 1995 is when I started my first website, and I had a business partner. We actually had an angel investor provide us with very little seed money so that he could quit his job, my business partner. And eventually I would as well. I was working also. I had my other business as a mobile disc jockey. So I used to DJ wedding receptions and class reunions and parties and all that.
That's actually very interesting, because I talked to Tone Vase a few days ago, and he was also a disc jockey.
Yeah. And
we were talking, because I was an MC.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Wicked what?
We could do like a whole show together.
Absolutely, man. We just need some dancers. Yeah. So, I had already been accustomed to running my own business, but I knew that I wanted to get out of the DJ business, and I was really fascinated with this whole World Wide Web idea and creating content. But during that first year, my business partner decided it wasn't going anywhere. We weren't getting advertising dollars for our site, and he went to work for Microsoft and pretty much just handed me the business. And I was running out of money. And at the time I was married, and I remember telling my wife, we are just about broke. There's no money left. And after a year of it, I thought for sure this is what I was supposed to do. And I'm not a religious man, but I am a person of faith. And I do believe in God. And I believe that we're guided by a plan. And I remember falling to my knees and just despair and praying. Like the prayer was, it was one of those moments where there aren't even the words. It was like, I thought I was supposed to be doing this and it's not working out. And if you want me to do this, you're going to have to drop money out of the sky. That was my prayer. Within the week, Paul, within the week, I got an email out of nowhere from a gentleman in another state claiming to represent a foreign multimedia conglomerate in Japan. And he came to me and said, these folks are interested in licensing some of your content. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, oh, that'll be worth a couple $100 because we had software reviews and that type of thing on our website. And I got on the phone with him, and I had learned from doing sales that when the other person is talking, shut up. Don't say anything. Wait for it to, land and let there be silence while you're processing, because whoever talks first loses. So he said to me, they want to give you $5,000 a month for your content. This was in 1996. $5,000 went a lot further. And I was sitting there on the other end of the phone with my jaw like wide open thinking, holy crap, this would save my bacon. And it took so little effort to do it. We actually signed a 3-year contract for $7,500 a month. And I was like, thank you. The money literally fell out of the sky. And so, there's a lot of times I like to take, it's easy to take credit for our successes, but I give credit where credit is due. And my role in that was going broke and saying a prayer, and then just being available for the miraculous to take place. And I know everybody's story is different, and you could say it was luck if you want to, whatever. I just know it happened and it's real. And it was life-changing for me because from that moment forward, things really started happening. The next thing that happened is, now that I had enough money to continue doing this work for my new online company, was my webmaster said, hey, you should go check out this guy's site. You like games, and so you might like what he's doing. And it was a grad student at University of California, San Diego, and he had developed the very early foundations for one of the web's first online multiplayer game rooms. And he had a few of his friends testing it. It was, they were playing chess and checkers and backgammon. And I saw that and I thought, this is so cool. And so I wrote the guy and said, hey, I've got a website that's got some traffic. You've got a product. Why don't we team up and build this thing together? And so we did. We called it classicgames.com. And over the period from 96 to 97, we registered thousands of users, and it was starting to become known. And then we got a knock on our virtual door from a little company known as Yahoo, which was at that time the biggest search engine. They were the Google of that era before they fell apart. And long story short, they ended up buying the site from us for 7 figures. And if anybody remembers Yahoo Games, when that site was still active, it was active for about, 18 years. That was the site that I sold them, which was then developed and really fleshed out more.
That is insane. That is awesome.
Yep.
So you mentioned sales and the importance of sales. Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned luck. Okay, luck. I can say all successful people are lucky, but they wouldn't be lucky if they weren't prepared for it, right? Because preparation means opportunity. If you didn't know, if you didn't have the company, if you didn't know programming, if you didn't do what you did, you wouldn't have been so lucky. So,
by the way, it's really hot out here now.
That's
so
right.
I'm moving inside because the sun is just brutal. And I'll
tour with Joe Comm of his house, 360.
Yeah. We're in the apartment now. I'm going to swap my glasses. And
okay.
There we go. Let's see. Now I'm in the shade. Here, we'll do this. See if this helps. Hey, everybody. Awesome. I'll keep moving around till we get somewhere where it works. There we go.
That's great. And you also mentioned faith, which I really wish people would look more into. But the importance of sales. Okay. Okay. First of all, what's your favorite sales book you've ever read? And second of all, how important is sales for you? It's for success.
So starting your own business always requires sales. You've got to pitch somebody, whether you're getting customers or whether you're getting partners or publicity, you're always selling what you're doing. And launching my own DJ business required the ability to do all those types of sales. But prior to that, I cut my teeth on direct sales. Have you ever seen the commercials with the emergency response system where the old lady, falls down the stairs and she pushes the button?
I think I have, but I'm not sure because I'm not in America.
I've fallen and I can't get up, and she pushes a little necklace and she pushes the button. And I'm sure a lot of your people following this right now know exactly what I'm talking about. And I sold these units to people who were ill or, unable to get around in case of emergency. And so that, and I sold Encyclopedia Britannicas for about a year and a half or so. And during all of that, I listened to Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
Zig's 2 books. See You at the Top was the first inspirational book that I read that really got my inner motivation going. And then Secrets of Closing the Sale really spoke to me. To this day, even though this was written pre-internet era, before there was email or Facebook or any of the tools that we have for direct selling online, the principles that he taught in that book were psychology principles.
Yeah.
And it's selling without manipulation. And so I actually did pretty well working direct sales for those 2 companies that I worked for. And that helped me then to sell myself as a disc jockey. And those same skills have been used countless times in my online business. Sales is essential.
So I gotta ask, if just out of curiosity, because you mentioned Zig Ziglar, I actually worked a lot with Ben Gay III, which was with Zig Ziglar, same company, and they were together. They
I know Ben.
You know Ben. So the Closers series.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote the Closers Part 3 with Ben.
Oh, there you go.
We actually wrote it together.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So recently as well.
Yeah, Ben's a good guy.
But
you know that already.
He's awesome. He's actually my mentor, one of my mentors. So what's it like now? Is it still hard? Do you still have challenges, or? He's like, look at my view, man.
Let me check. Let's see. I have a pulse. Yes, I still have challenges. We always have challenges.
Yeah,
anybody who tells, look, I get so tired of the BS of these people that go online and they show videos of their beautiful house and their fast cars and surrounded by beautiful people and, in beautiful places, acting like I have it all together. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're full of it. I know you're full of it. You know you're full of it. And in a lot of cases, they don't even have what they're telling you they have. It's a facade. It's a rented mansion or a rented car, right? Or somebody's paying them to go do this thing.
Right.
You trust but verify. Don't believe what you see just because you see it. They're trying to sell you something. And a lot of people fall for it, especially young people fall for it. They fall for the fast cars, sales pitch. And because they think that that's the dream, it's not the dream. I've had the big house. I lived in a 6,000 square foot house here in Northern Colorado. I live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment now and never been happier than I am right here. The stuff, in fact, before I moved here, I eliminated, I want to say 90% of my personal possessions, things I have been carrying around my whole life, collections and collectibles and memorabilia and things. I don't miss them. I don't have them anymore, and I don't miss them. I like to travel light. I think the most important things in your life are 2 things: people and experiences. That's it.
But you have to admit that these get rich and lifestyle and mansions and everything, at least they grab people's attention that they never thought about it, and they get them excited about it yet. Yes.
Sure. But most people, A, won't have that, and B, wouldn't do what it would take to get that.
Wouldn't do what it would take to get that.
It's not everybody's design, I think. I mean, we're all different. And who says that'll make you happy? I've known plenty of wealthy people that are absolutely miserable. The more you have, the more you have to take care of. The more you have to lose. The more you have to watch over. We have been sold a bill of goods on what success looks like. And it's not about how much money you have. It's not about how many homes you have or boats. That is not the definition of success. And so what?
I was about to ask, what does success mean to you? Because that was the next question.
So there's a couple components to success for me. The first one is freedom, to be able to do what I want to do, where and when I want to do it, with the people I want to be with, and how I want to do it. Being the manager of my life, where I am not subject to other people's schedules. The only reason I'm here for this interview on a schedule is because I agreed to it, right? So it was a choice that I made. I don't always say yes if it doesn't fit in with what I want to talk about or who I want to be associated with, or just I don't feel like it. I get to say yes or no, and so do you. We're all free agents, and so freedom to me is success. I think financially, success is having enough to be within the boundaries of that freedom. I've had a lot. I've lost a lot. I know how to make money. If I wanted to make more money, I could, by doing things that I don't really want to do. And legal things, ethical things, just they're not where I am right now. And so I don't want to do them. If I wanted to start a high dollar coaching program and get a bunch of people that are paying me a lot to hang out with me once a month, or, be able to have access to me, I could do that. I don't want to do that. I know a lot of my peers who do. And if that's where you are, great, go for it. So I choose to make less than I'm capable of, because I want to be true to the lifestyle that is important to me, that freedom to do what I want to do. That to me is success.
And on that note, I think you mentioned this before, but do you think anybody could succeed in life at this?
At this? I don't know what this is. Well, I'm not sure what this is.
Succeed in life?
Yeah, I think anybody can. I think people succeed in life. Look, we're all given certain gifts and talents, right? I believe they're God-given. They're who we are. You and I, we can't control, the body we were given. This is who we look like. Now, we could abuse it and we can get fat, or we could be malnourished, right? And then there's outside circumstances, that could affect our health. But this is who we are. This is the skin we walk around in. You didn't control, who your parents would be. So you didn't control when you were born. You didn't control what class, if you were poor or wealthy by family. There's so many things that we don't control. But the choices that we do control, we could be victims of society, or we could be overcomers. And everybody has the opportunity to overcome. And there's more than enough stories of people who started with nothing or less than nothing, who have overcome, that nobody has an excuse to say, well, that's okay for them, I can't do that. You choose not to do it. You choose to allow your circumstances to dictate what your potential is. But the fact is, if you're alive and breathing, you have potential to do something, to live your dream, to discover what gifts, talents, and abilities have I been gifted with. And then how do I want to operate in those gifts to bring value to others? Now, a lot of people, they put those gifts away, right? They stuff them in the chest and lock it away. And they're like, well, I need to work this job. I need to go to work every day. Now, don't get me wrong. Being responsible, especially when you have a family to take care of, essential. And if it means you have to work 3 jobs you hate to make sure that there is a roof over your children's head, clothing on your back, food on the table, that's a different set of circumstances. You have to do what you have to do to be a responsible adult. But there's a lot of people that have choices, that choose to stay in the traps for fear of losing what they already have. I know people that for decades have gone to jobs that they hate, planning, waiting for the day. Maybe this is the year that I'll escape. And I'm thinking, how tragic is that? You're waiting your life away. You know, I've got to say this. In the last week, there have been week and a half. There have been 5 deaths that I have become aware of. One of them was a gentleman my age who used to work for me, who got ill with diabetes, passed away. Another one was a great affiliate marketer friend, James Martell, again, near the same age as myself, who passed away. 2 friends, parents, fathers, they lost their father this week. It's like life. The point is life is short, and we don't know how much time we have. We do not know. And if you're planning just for the future, like, there's definitely wisdom in thinking about the future and having a plan in the event that you get to enjoy it. But how tragic for somebody who plans for the future, sacrifices themselves daily on the altar of one day, and then that one day never comes for them. How very tragic.
Yeah.
Was it Whitman? No, it wasn't Whitman. Thoreau. Most men live lives of quiet desperation, wanting, believing inside their heart that there's something more, in wanting it, but not having the courage, not being willing to take the risk to do something different that might get them one step closer to where it is they want to be. And that's why risk taking is essential. If you don't take risks, you can play it safe, but guess what? You're never going to do great things.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. Look at anybody who's changed the world, whether it's in a small way in their community, or whether it's, in a major way and literally changed the world. They all took risks. They put everything on the line to go there, and they were willing to fail. And anybody who has done that has failed massively, but those failures led to success. So what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be extraordinary? Because you have it in you to be extraordinary, but you have to make a choice to take steps in that direction. It's not going to happen on its own.
Yeah, I think action is extremely important. On that note, I don't know if you know this, but a couple of years ago, well, first of all, I almost went bankrupt a couple of times, and I did go bankrupt.
Me too. I didn't, but I got close.
About 2 years ago, I had cancer. I had chemotherapy and bone marrow transplant.
Wow.
And I actually took that. It was funny because it was just when I made it, just when I was just living the life, it just hit me like 3 months after. And it was devastating, but I didn't just sit around and wait. I'm like, okay, what can I do now? I can study all day. I wrote 2 books. I started this YouTube channel. I just started doing what I could. When I couldn't write, I was recording the book and sending it to transcribers. But it took action. And as we speak, it's funny, I just came back from Poland a couple of months ago to Greece. And I'm in Greece right now. And it's funny because my mother got cancer, so she's going chemotherapy. I learned my sister had cancer. Unfortunately, she passed away a few weeks ago.
Oh, man.
I learned this. I was watching my house burn down on TV in Kineta in the wildfires. But again, you just have to keep moving forward. You can't have an excuse, and it's not gonna, you just have to take action, massive action, and do what you can to not start from zero when the time comes that you can shine, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What a great, I did not know that about you, and massive kudos, way to inspire people in spite of your trials, because a lot of people, they lay down, they give up, and you are clearly a fighter, and terribly sorry to hear about your losses,
Yeah.
and at the same time inspired to hear what you've done. And I think that's why people resonate with you and watch your channel, is because you've been there, right? It's the voice of experience and the
Yeah.
wisdom that comes from that to say, I mean, inspiration is nothing more than fanning the flame in somebody who needs hope, right? It's saying, I've been there, I did this, you can
Yeah.
too. This is why I don't know how you feel about this, but I think motivational speaking is a crock. I don't believe in motivational speaking because motivation is an inside job. Inspiration is when you impart something of value to others that then can fan the flame and create that inner fire, which is your personal motivation. I mean, the only motivation that we can really do is, we motivate people out of fear, right? Don't do that, or this is gonna happen to you. Okay, now we have motivation to pay our taxes because we don't want to go to prison, right? But inspiration is different, and I think that's where the real value comes from, when we can inspire somebody else who needs hope to believe that they have what it takes to accomplish their goals and pursue their dreams.
I never heard the analogy of motivation and inspiration like that. That was amazing, actually. I made a note of that. You know, on that note, one of my mentors told me that success is born from inspiration or devastation.
Mm.
And I needed to ask you right now, I wanted to go off that. Did you have any mentors, and do you believe in mentors?
I do believe in mentors. I think that, my greatest mentor really has been just life, and different people in different times. It's not like there's one person. I do think that Zig Ziglar, even though he didn't personally mentor me, I felt like he did through his books. Again, I'm not a religious person, but I think if we're going to look to somebody in the history of religions, I think Jesus Christ is a great role model. Regardless of what you believe, to see somebody who just really loved other people. And I don't do that very well. I want to, I strive to, but I'm human, and I fail. I think life experiences have been my other greatest mentors, though, especially the trials. You don't really grow when things are good. When things are good, you bask in the sun, right? You suntan, you swim in the water, you enjoy the moment when things are good. When things are difficult and the heat is on, that's when we are truly motivated to do something and to make a change. And there's an old saying, it might have been Tony Robbins, it might have been somebody else, but change happens when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change.
Mm-hmm.
And we are pain averse. We'll keep doing the same thing and making the same mistakes, sometimes intentionally, often intentionally, until the pain of doing that thing again and again becomes so great that we're like, it would probably be easier to not do it anymore. And that's the core of a lot of, addictive behavior. And I know, because I've had, I have an addictive personality, and certain things, became a problem for me. And some other things haven't been. We're all wired differently. I was a complete pothead, and if people want to smoke dope, that's fine. I live in Denver, Colorado, where it's legal, and I know a lot of people that smoke and get high. Great, do whatever you want to do. It's legal, and have fun. But I was stoned for like 5 years solid through college, and it did not treat me well. And they say you can't get addicted to weed. Well, maybe not physiologically, but emotionally, I was very addicted. And once I stopped, the world looked a little different to me. And so, but that alcohol was never a problem. I can have a drink and go without for months, and it doesn't matter, or I can, so everybody's wired differently, but there was a point in all that, and I can't remember what it was.
Well, anything. I think anybody can be addicted to anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Or even another word for it is obsessed.
We're all addicted to this.
Your Facebook or your phone.
We are addicted. If you don't think you are in denial. If you have Facebook on your phone or Twitter, and you use social media pretty regularly, odds are, in fact, the new iOS 10 has an app on here that tracks your screen time every day and shows you what apps you're spending time in. If you don't think you're addicted, try to go a day without checking Facebook or any social media at all.
No, we're dependent on it. But we also use it to expand, yes?
Sure. I mean, there's plenty of good. Listen, it is amoral in terms of itself. Social media is amoral. The internet is amoral. Email is amoral. It's neither good nor evil. It's what we do with it. Yeah. And my biggest fear right now regarding social media is that most people don't know what to do with it. It just turned into this wine fest and meanness. Everybody wants to be heard, but very, very few actually have something to say.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of junk. People keep on watching it. And, when people watch that, that's what their brain fills up with. They forget what's important because that's how the brain functions. It remembers the last thing. Most of it's gossip and toxicity, which makes you negative. It's really bad.
Garbage in, garbage out. Turn off the news. I don't know what it's like there.
I don't watch the news.
But I'm telling you, if you watch mainstream news or read mainstream sources in most of the Western world, if you think you're getting the story, if you think you're getting the truth, you are being manipulated. You are going willingly. They have cast the bait. They put the bait on the hook. They throw it out there and they do this. And then people just echo and parrot back what they've heard. It's ignorance. I don't think most people are stupid, but I do think that there is a large degree of ignorance out there that we just don't know. And because we don't know, we're willing to accept what somebody tells us, especially if that somebody seems to be in a position of authority. I'm ignorant. You're ignorant. And I can say that because when you look at the vast sum of knowledge in the world, right? Let's say you were to say, okay, here's all the knowledge in the world, and it's on this wall right here. It's this white wall here, and on this white wall that represents all the knowledge in the world, I want you to take this pen with this fine tip and draw a picture that demonstrates how much you know. Wow. You could not make a dot small enough. It would not be visible to the human eye in the realm of all knowledge to show what you know, which makes us all ignorant. That means we don't know 99.99999999999% of all the knowledge that exists. We're all ignorant. We might know a little about a few things or seemingly a lot more than that person knows, but still we're so limited. And I think having that understanding and thinking that we have to or even can know it all, it leads to humility to know that, you know what, the older I get, the more I realize I don't know, and I'm okay with that.
You know, I'm going to say something about the news right now. It's when I stopped watching the news, actually. I slowly cut it out, and then I'll only read, like, things like, and if I want to read it, I'll expand, because it's mostly negativity and crap anyway, to say it mildly. So back in 90-something with Iraq, with Saddam Hussein, when there was the war, we're in Greece, it's pretty far away. And there was a war over there, okay. But I switched the TV on. I'll never forget this. And it's like, war in Iraq, planes are coming down, music in the background. Grannies were getting heart attacks. They thought the war was like right next door to them.
Oh
It
my.
was insane, and there's so much propaganda going on. And I've traveled a lot, and a lot of times they say things on the news, especially in Greece, and I'm there. I'm like looking around. I'm like, that's not happening.
Mm-mm. No, it's
So
there. The news exists. It's entertainment.
yeah,
I know that. Look, and not to denigrate true journalists, right?
yeah,
There are still journalists out there who seek to report who, what, when, where, why, how in a non-biased, impartial, nonpartisan way. But they're few and far between, at least the ones that are put out in front of us, because the mainstream news exists to sell you toothpaste and toilet paper
pretty
and
much.
an agenda. That's why
Yeah.
it's there. It's there for mind control. And don't believe it. That's why the internet has become a far greater resource. Now we have at our fingertips information. In the media, if something were to happen, right outside my window right now, I would see it before the media could,
Yeah.
and I could fire up a live video on my phone and be on the scene before they ever arrive with their camera crews. We have the opportunity to know more because of the research we can do online than what the media can tell us through their lens of whatever it is they want us to see.
Quick prediction: one day we're all going to be journalists. It's going to be on the blockchain, decentralized news, and we're going to be just using our. There should be an ICO for that, really.
Well, I hope there is already DNN. We had them
Okay.
on the Bad Crypto podcast, the Decentralized News Network. The problem with all these ICOs is they launch, they raise their money, but then
Yeah.
rolling out the product and getting adoption is challenging. And as long as we have the media giants that are in control and the social media giants, which, by the way, that is a house of cards as well, that is slowly beginning to show signs of crumbling. And it is time for disruption. It's time for disruption in the media. It's time for disruption in social media. The power cannot belong to the few elite who are going to be the arbiters of what free speech looks like. It needs to belong to we, the people.
Yeah. And, I want to get into blockchain later on and cryptocurrency with you, but I think the biggest problem I see from ICOs and from companies because I've worked as an advisor for a couple of them and I'm looking into them. And I talk to a lot of them. They call me up all the time when we talk. Inexperienced, most of them are programmers and developers. They have no idea about marketing and sales. They don't listen because they're very smart. Don't get me wrong. They're really smart. But they just don't understand, don't listen, and don't comprehend what it actually takes. It's not that all of them are scams, but the ones that are not don't have the business background or the experience to pursue and to fulfill, I think, their own dream.
I don't disagree. This is why both Travis Wright and myself are marketing advisors for a few companies, because they recognize the need that the technology and the vision isn't enough. You have to know how to put your product and present it to people in a way that they're going to want to adopt it. And this is, we're still in the very early phases of blockchain, regardless of that wave we had and, leading up to January, when the prices went ridiculously sky high and only some people were smart enough to sell. And the rest of us are going,
I wasn't.
but we know this is the beginning. This reminds me of the internet back when I got onto the web back in 1995. And this is technology that is going to change the world, for better or for worse. It's here. There's no putting this genie back in the bottle. It's out now in every single moment, even as we're talking all over the world. Blockchain projects are moving forward. Institutions are figuring out how they can get on board. Governments are examining how do we use and regulate this type of currency. It's coming. There's no stopping it. And so the reason I'm so involved with it is because once I understood it, which was in spring of 2017, I said, this smells exactly like the web smelled when I discovered it in 1995. This is the future, and I want to be a part of this.
It's funny, this when I got in, you mentioned not selling, and I just want to say something that you might find funny. So I used to do technical analysis. I used to actually teach Forex people in Forex companies how to trade. I wasn't the best, but I knew my stuff. And I knew I had to sell. And I advised people to sell. But you know what? I was addicted to it. I just could not sell. And that's an example of addiction.
Yeah,
Like
I did peel off some, not as much as I, wish I had, but who knows? You never know. Nobody thought it would fall as low as it, fell. We were expecting some sort of pullback, but now in hindsight, you see that the hype
yeah.
meter was off the charts, and hindsight is 2020. But I'm always looking to the future.
Yeah.
And regardless of the ups and downs on a daily, monthly, even an annual basis, I know where this is going. The market, I believe personally, and I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take it as financial advice, but I believe that the crypto market cap is around $220 billion today as we're speaking. We're going to see a multi-trillion-dollar market cap in a few years. It's just, it has to happen. It's the very nature of the scarcity of Bitcoin and the advancements in the technology that we are now dealing with.
I agree. So,
in my humble and could be wrong opinion, but I'm pretty sure I feel right. I feel right enough about it that I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Well, me too now. No, I'm long.
Very.
Yeah. So let me ask you, do you have any habits and morning rituals? I went out of focus. So
yes, there's one morning ritual that I've done every day of my life. I wake up. You're like, I'm going to write this down. What is it?
I was about to.
That is my first morning ritual. I wake up every morning. Apart from that, usually I'll grab my phone and I will check out the news sources that I like to check out to get an idea, at least what are people talking about, right? I don't necessarily believe what I read, but I'm curious, what are people talking about? And I'll check my social media or my messages. I'll see, are people reaching out to me? And when I absolutely can't stay in bed anymore because I have to go to the bathroom, I'll get up. It seems to be like clockwork as well. All right, I really got to pee. Yeah, there's my morning motivation. I got to pee. And how's that for transparent? And and then depending upon my schedule, if I try not to schedule things for the morning because I like to get out and get my walk in the morning. Denver is just a beautiful, beautiful. In fact, I'm going to show you guys.
Nice.
As long as we're here, I'm going to give you a view out my window.
Oh, wow.
So there's mountains, the Rockies are out there. It's kind of cloudy today. It's hard to see them completely, but I like to get out and usually walk for an hour. I listen to podcasts as I walk, or I talk to friends or family on the phone, and then come back, get cleaned up, and go, okay, what's next? I record 4 episodes of Bad Crypto with Travis Wright each week. And so we have interviews and we do our recordings. Other days I have interviews with others like yourself. I'm getting ready to go to Moscow to speak at a social media event mid-October. So I need to put together a presentation, and that's my mornings kind of look like that. And my days are very loosely structured. The only things that are scheduled are things that I either intentionally or allow to be placed on my calendar. And so every day is different. There's no two are the same. And you'll never hear me say, like, I sometimes I don't know what day it is. If I didn't look at my calendar, I wouldn't know what day it is. So you'll never hear me say, oh, I've got a case of the Mondays. Oh, no, it's Monday. You'll never hear me say, it's Wednesday, hump day. You'll never hear me say, thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
It means nothing to me. Those days of the week mean nothing because I could, it's Sunday. I could work all day because there's some things I want to get done and because I feel the inspiration and motivation to do those things now. It could be, Wednesday and I decide, I'm going to play video games all afternoon. I'm going to go out with my girlfriend at night. I'm not going to get a damn thing done. And then get home later and it's midnight and I check my email. There's no two that are alike. And that, to me, again, is true freedom and success. No man is my master.
Okay, so now is a bit of a weird question because
Oh,
you are very into sales and branding as well.
yeah.
Do you think your name, Joel Comm, helped in your branding on the internet?
No,
No?
no. I mean,
Okay.
that's my name. That's just
I
people
thought
ask.
it's, I just think it's cool.
They're
Dot
like,
com,
is
com.
that your real name? Yeah, it's my real name. It's Comm. My parents are both Jewish, and my grandfather, I think it was Komm, but when he was in the military, I think the records got switched. It was C, and they both came. My ancestors came through Ellis Island from from Russia, USSR, when they were escaping the pogroms because they were being killed for their race.
Oh no, when I say name, I don't mean family tree. I mean like dot com, Joel Com.
No, I
It just
understand.
sounds
I'm
cool.
just saying I couldn't choose, but people ask me if it's a real name. And I guarantee you on Ellis Island, whatever was after Komm was truncated, whether it's Comiskey or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's just the name I was given. I was a speech comm major in school. I don't think that having the name had any effect at all on my success
But it is
or
easy,
my failures, but it is my real name. Yeah.
but it is easy to remember. I think it's pretty cool. I really liked it.
Okay. I never Nobody's ever asked me that before. They've asked me if it's my real name dozens of times, but nobody's ever asked me if having that name, if I could attribute my success to it. And it's a great question. I never thought about it, but I don't think so.
Well, obviously it takes other things as well. But for example, my name is Democritu, and as much as I try to brand myself as Democritu, democracy, and it's easy for me to remember. I think it's really, really easy because I'm Greek. But most people just they can't spell it, they can't write it.
Opa. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, do you have any? Okay, what questions do you wish people asked you?
That's a hard one. Um, I'll put that back on you and say, think outside the box. What question do you really want to ask me? I mean, ask me anything. The questions I want to be asked are the ones that I don't get every day, the ones that I'm not asked again and again. Well, so
Okay.
what, dig deep. What do you really want to know?
Okay, I'll get to that then because I'm just going along. Give me some advice. Do you have any advice for people that are struggling? That's all, folks. Okay, now struggling right now. Do you have any advice for people that are struggling right now?
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm sorry for your struggles. And while your circumstances differ from everybody else's, at least in some part, if not in a large part, um, we are made to be overcomers.
Mm.
I believe you have within you what it takes to push through this. Stop looking at your problems, look at solutions. Surround yourself with people who will lift you up, who will encourage you, who will pray for you, who will stand with you. And what's happening right now in your struggles is your story. A chapter in your story is being written. If you look at the movies and the television of all stories of people that have accomplished great things, it's part of the hero's journey. They all have those moments where they're at the bottom and they think, this is it. I've lost. How do I recover from this? But step by step, day by day, moment by moment, you can make a choice to say, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. And one day, I don't know how, I don't know what it's going to look like, I don't know when, but this is my foundation. This is the rock on which I build whatever it is I'm going to build. And I will not quit until I can look back and say, that was then, this is now.
Mm. That is very nice. That's very powerful, by the way. Now,
I believe it, and I've been there. I've rebuilt. I've been devastated. I've hit bottom. I've been flat on my face. I've lost. So I've had great loss, and I fought tooth and nail to not stay in that place of despair and loss. It doesn't mean you know where you're going. But the process of deciding to not stay there is what builds you. And you don't even know what it is you're building at the time. but deciding to not stay there and move forward in spite of not knowing what your direction is. You find out when you look back, look what I built. I didn't even know I was building that. And what you find most often that you've built is this: your character, your integrity, your wisdom through your experience, and you become an overcomer. And that is when you can inspire people to do great things.
Nice. So now I gotta
You got me started.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to talk cryptocurrency, but I love this stuff.
We can go back and forth. I have a tendency.
I'm great. I love talking
going
about
back and
stuff.
forth.
Because
crypto is also has a message in it, yeah, because it's a decentralization. You can become successful in crypto as well. Let's get into that a little bit, actually. You mentioned you got into crypto in spring 2017, yet you expanded very fast, and you already have a podcast.
Easy now.
Doing great. Yeah. How did you get the podcast? How did that happen?
So I remember hearing about Bitcoin a few years ago from some peers, and usually I'm on the front lines of this stuff. I'm a futurist, and I tend to be a pioneer in various technologies, not because I'm so smart, but because I see them and I go, I want to play with that toy.
Yeah.
Right. That's usually how it begins. And because of that curiosity, I end up in these technologies, but I didn't understand Bitcoin. It didn't click with me. I'm like, what do you mean mining with your computer? Is there a little guy in there going, ding, 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 and little Bitcoin? I didn't get it. But last, I want to say March or April, I was at a conference here in Denver, and a friend of mine started talking about it. And for whatever reason, at that point, I decided to pay attention, and I finally went down the rabbit hole. Well, interestingly enough, my friend Travis Wright, who is a leading marketing technologist, author of the book Digital Sense, he and I had become great friends, and we would talk on Facebook Messenger almost daily during the political season. And we found out that we shared a lot of the same values, and we would joke and we would talk to each other about what was happening in the news. And once the election had passed and we got into 2017, we both realized that we were interested in this crypto stuff. And our discussion shifted from politics to blockchain. What do you think of this Ethereum thing and these new tokens they're coming up with? And did you hear this news? And what about the price of Bitcoin? And we were having these conversations virtually every day on Messenger. And it was July 16th, 2017. I'll never forget it. Travis sent me a message that said, when are we going to start the Joel and TW crypto show? Winky face. He was being half sarcastic, but the point was that he and I were talking so much that what if we took these conversations public? We're both marketers. We both have done podcasting and understand broadcasting and communications. And the moment he said that, I said, I'm calling you. Got on the phone with him. I said, let's do a show. Hey, kids, let's put on a show. And I said, we don't, all of these other podcasts out there in crypto at that time, over our heads. Like, what the people need are a couple of real guys to speak real language, and do it with our regular personality. Don't pretend that we're experts, and let's be humorous and have fun with it. And said, so let's call it the Bad Crypto Podcast. 2 days later, we had registered the domain, signed up with an account on Libsyn so we could syndicate the show, design the logo, the cover, recorded the first episode, and released it July 18th, 2017. The first episode came out. The feedback was great. We just kept creating content. And in our first year, when we celebrated our first anniversary of July 18th, 2018, we had over 5 million downloads.
Wow.
Go figure.
Wow.
It was just one of those things. It was lightning in a bottle. It was another example of our curiosity, being willing to take a risk, and serendipity, all aligning to just ignite this thing, which is now, it's now the main thing that we both do. And now we get to travel around to different events. We've spoken at a number of crypto conferences. We've done Bad Crypto Live on, I think, 8 stages now at different events. We're the hosts at World CryptoCon in Las Vegas at the Aria Hotel, Halloween through November 2nd. And it's just been fun. We've interviewed a couple hundred people already. We've had McAfee on, we had Charlie Lee and Tone Vase and Charlie Shrem and Roger Ver, and the list goes on. And it's fun. And here we are in the thick of this space going, wow, in a few years, this is what blows my mind. I have, when you're younger, you don't have the benefit of thinking in hindsight. You just have the here and now and you're planning for the future. But as you get older, you start to look backwards from the future. And I'm looking into the future a few years and I'm thinking, we're going to be OGs a few years from now, because we were doing this show years ago before crypto hit mainstream. And it's like, really? We're just being kids playing around with this technology because it's fascinating.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay. I actually asked Tone this one since you mentioned them earlier on. Advice for hodlers. I just laugh whenever I say that. Advice for hodlers that got wrecked.
Sorry. I'm not giving financial advice. Sell now and take a loss, or you have 3 choices: sell, hodl, or buy. Those are your choices. You figure out how much do you believe in the companies that you have bought their currency or their token, and make the decision. Is it a tax write-off? Are you going to hold it for the long term and hope they make it? Or do you believe in them enough to go, hey, it's at a super bargain basement price right now, I'm going to buy more, average down? You got to figure that out for yourself.
And they need to learn about it, right? They need to start learning why they bought and really look into it. Maybe read some books on trading and find, fundamentals as well, I guess.
I am not a trader. I don't really do trading. I never was very good at trading stocks. I never did Forex. I get bored with the charts and technical analysis. It's just not my thing. There's other things I'd rather be doing, and understanding that. Like, I've been to Trader Cobb. We had him on the show, and I have access to his site, and I don't take the time to go look at it and learn because I'm just not all that interested in discipline to do it. Could I make a lot of money trading? Very possibly, but I'm not. Once you have enough, and when I'm talking about enough, I'm not talking about an abundance. I'm talking about enough to live the lifestyle that you're comfortable with. There's no boats. I don't own a home anymore. I rent an apartment, and that's fine with me. Then money is no longer a motivating factor. And for me, I choose to live that way, that, hey, crypto's going up, crypto's going down. Am I doing all right? I'm doing all right. And if need be, could I buckle down and make more money? Yeah. But money really isn't going to buy anybody happiness. Money is going to alleviate pressure on some basic needs, but I've thought about this because I've had some really good years. I've had some really bad years. I've been through a divorce, so I understand what losing, money is like. And part of the reason I'm not money motivated is I ask myself, okay, what if you had this sack of cash, right? Whatever number you want to put on it, $1 million, $10 million, how would it change your life? And I look at the lifestyle that I have and I think, I don't think it would change it one bit. I wouldn't change where I live. I wouldn't buy a bigger house or a condo. I'd stay right where I am. I wouldn't refurnish my place. I don't need another television. I'm happy with my 2015 Ford Mustang. I don't need a Lamborghini or something ridiculous like that. I get to travel because of my work, and I need downtime in between those travels to recover. What would I do differently? Nothing. Not a damn thing. And so once you see money for that, then it gives you a fresh perspective. It's like, I better live today, because having more isn't going to change anything.
There was actually a recent study that says over 75,000, depending on which country you're in, a year. I think it's 75,000 or 100, don't quote me. But over that, the happiness scale doesn't change. Up to there, it does because it releases stress and you can take care of bills and everything. But after that, it's just obviously more is better, but it doesn't, happiness doesn't really depend on it. Let's put it that way.
Not always. Not always.
Not always.
I've had more, and I've had a staff with 30, I think 38 employees was my maximum. I'm a solopreneur again. Love it. I mean, Bad Crypto has 13 people on our team, but none are employees. It's all contract and partnerships. I had the big house. Big house meant taxes, meant a yard to take care of, upkeep, maintenance, stress, having things like all these things I told you that I got rid of before I moved to this apartment. I needed a storage unit. I needed, to pay every month to keep and make sure that everything was kept in good shape. Be gone with it. You don't get to take any of it with you when you die, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We leave. I don't know if it was a Rockefeller that said it, but somebody wealthy was asked, how much are you going to leave when you die? And this answer is the best answer. They turned to the interview and said, all of it. I'm going to leave it all. So what am I trying to hold on to?
Right.
People and experiences. That's all you've really got. And you know better than anybody, a cancer survivor. I'm fortunate, and knock on wood, that'll never happen. But you've been to the abyss. You've looked into the abyss. And what was staring back?
I actually almost died, literally, because
I want to know.
Huh?
Yeah, when you looked into the abyss, in that moment, the face of death, there must have been great clarity.
Yes, and basically, when I had it, I got a lung embolism, which I wasn't sure I had. I'll tell you where money did work, though. I had a pain all day, and I thought it was like something that I moved wrong or something. Whenever I breathed, it was really hurting, and it was driving me nuts. It was getting worse and worse, and I'm like, okay. So my girlfriend is like, oh, don't worry, we'll go to the hospital tomorrow. I'm like, you know what? It's 4:00 in the morning. I'm going right now. I can afford this. I didn't go to a public hospital. I went to a private hospital, obviously, because I wouldn't go to a public hospital at that time. I just went right in there, and I had a lung embolism. I was gonna die, and then I had biopsies and everything taken from me, but I didn't know what was going on. They didn't tell me, and I was rushed to another hospital. And then while I was being treated for that in the room after a horror story, they came and told me, by the way, you also have cancer. And the biopsy, and I'm like, okay, so is it like you have to get chemotherapy? I'm like, do I have any other choice? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And that's when I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to fight this with everything I have. First is faith, then is positive energy, then it's nutrition, because I went into a diet and everything and so forth, and obviously medicine and science. So I wasn't one of those people like, oh, don't do medicine, don't do science. Steve Jobs tried that. Many people tried that. They're like, if you don't do chemo, you're going to die. I'm like, okay, give me chemo. Just give it to me. But I'll try and fight with whatever else I have. And the funny thing is, through nutrition, especially faith, and I really say this to this day, people didn't know I had cancer until I started losing my eyebrows, because I'm bald anyway. People didn't know I had cancer. And then after obviously the bone marrow transplant, I started looking like a corpse, but I was still on YouTube actually. But it was, I went through it, and I was motivated to do what I did, not only so I don't start from zero when I became better, because I was going to become better, but I wanted to leave something behind in case I didn't. And that's what gave me what I did. And I wanted to, and obviously I had to set things up so that if I do survive, which I was, to make sure I could work from home, because I just saw everything just going like this. And I knew I was going to and even though I was making money at the time, I'm like, this is not going to last. I've been through this before. I'm not going to be able to apply myself. This is all going to go. And lo and behold, my girlfriend's like, she didn't believe it, but it happened. I knew it was going to happen. So I had to set up myself up, and I did. And then I slowly got better. Started coaching clients again and going to companies. I had to be very careful. And then when I could start traveling, even though that was a bit of a risk, I went to Poland, and now I'm doing what I'm doing. But the motivation I had was a promise I made, and it wasn't about me. I had my higher goal. My higher goal was to succeed as much as I can, and then help other people succeed as well. And that was a promise. And that's what drives me. Yes, I'm about making money. Yes, I'm about, getting things done, but it's not about me. It's about helping other people get to that, helping other people and giving them the chance to also do it. And that is basic. I said this before, and I'll say this again. I'll say this again. I said it. If I survive and get old with my friends, cancer may be just be the very best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. Because now I have vision. Now I have something bigger than me. And I always had faith, but now I have a goal, a promise, a mission. If you
now
will,
you have an experience.
Purpose.
Yeah. Love it. That's great. What a beautiful story.
Yeah. So, yeah. Joel, where do you think, I'm just going to go on with this. I got a couple more questions, if that's okay with you.
Yep, let's do it.
Where do you think our attention should be focused right now, in crypto and off crypto?
Wow, that's a really big question. I like it. We'll start with the micro, which would be the crypto world. I don't like when anybody shoulds on us. Like I tell people, don't let anybody should on you. So when you say where should our attention be focused, I'm cautious because ultimately there's so many different things that can be done and so many different people. You should do what you want to do. So with that said, I think the crypto space in general, just being aware of what's taking place is important because most people aren't aware at all, right? The vast majority of the public, they think Bitcoin was, a fad. I mean, if you were to ask people who aren't in Bitcoin, is Bitcoin dead? I'll bet you a lot of them would say yes. Just because it's not in the news anymore and it's not, being all hyped up. Oh, I heard all about this thing and everybody and their grandma was buying it and now it crashed and we don't hear about it anymore. So Bitcoin must be dead. So I think being involved and aware of what's happening in the crypto world at all is essential, right? And there's a lot of different rabbit holes that could take you. It could take you as, an analyst or as a developer or as an entrepreneur or as an investor. Go wherever it is that takes you, let it take you there, whatever your natural inclination is. In general, I think I am gonna should on people here because you asked the question, and that's what should we be focusing on? People and experiences, not the news, not the intentional, especially here in the United States. It makes it sound like we're at war with one another. There is a very small pocket of people that are at war with the other side. The most of us here, we go about our day, we live our lives, we just want to be left alone to live our lives, to love our family and friends and conduct business and be at peace. And there are those that are intentionally seeking to bring divisiveness on both sides. And it's demonstrable, it's provable. You can see who these people are, and they're troublemakers. And stay away from that. Unless you're going to affect a positive change, and that's not going to happen by screaming and pitching fits. It's just not. We look at you and we roll our eyes, thinking, "Good God, they're giving the adult children the attention here because it makes for good news." Live your life, do good stuff, pursue your dreams, and ignore the nonsense that's taking place. That.
Do good stuff. I think I saw that somewhere
Mhm.
as a hashtag on your website or something.
Yeah,
Is that like
I'm not wearing the shirt right now, but I actually trademarked there's a T-shirt I have, Do Good Stuff. I own
nice?
dogoodstuff.com. It's a brand. I trademarked the brand, which, the idea is that if you do good, if you seek to do good for others in a way that doesn't necessarily seek something in return. Okay, now, I'm not talking about making deals in transactions. There's this for that. I get that, but there's a lot of times we could just do good in the world for others without expecting a return.
Mm,
And I think that when we put good out there, that it's like we're making an investment, and some of those investments will pay off, some of them won't, but I think good always comes back to us, usually in ways that we don't expect it to. And sometimes years later that the investment was made. I mean, I've got relationships, dating back a decade or more, where I helped somebody with something, and 10 years later they came to me and say, "Hey, I have an opportunity. Are you interested?" And it's something that I am interested in. And I didn't invest in that person or that experience then because I thought, well, one day this is going to pay off. Now, you have to get out of that mindset. And the mindset is just where you feel led to make a positive difference, then just do it. And don't think about, well, what's in it for me?
yeah.
And leave it. It's like planting seeds. Right? It's like putting seeds out there in the world, and some of them are going to get trampled on. Some of them, the storm's going to wash away. Others of them are going to go into the soil. They're going to take root, and something beautiful is going to grow there, and you never saw it coming. But the more stuff you do that is good, the more likely that everything's just going to work out. And if the worst thing you can say is that I helped somebody else, guess what? You just won.
Mm, nice. So, why do you think crypto or Bitcoin is succeeding? The actual reason it's succeeding, if it's succeeding.
Um, I think it is on its way to succeeding. I think it's been pronounced dead 400 times and continues to resurrect because it's never actually really died. Um, you know, you can't think about crypto in terms of what you hear in the news. Eliminate that.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. Right now, somewhere in the world, a crypto conference is taking place. I guarantee it. If you look at Coindesk.com, they have a list of events, and they overlap. Somewhere in the world, an event is taking place. And all over the world, on every continent right now, in every country, in all major cities and probably rural areas, there are people that are advancing the cause of blockchain by coming up with better solutions, better blockchain ideas, more functionality, more privacy, whatever. Like right now as we're talking, there are thousands of people developing this crypto space. Every day it's moving forward. It's not going backward. Every day governments are examining it and figuring out what do we do with this. Every day the big banks and the biggest companies in the world are developing their own blockchain solutions. They're figuring out how to integrate other solutions. It's doing nothing but moving forward. That's all it does, is move forward. It never goes backwards. We hear about 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The news might tell you, oh, crypto took a hit today because this and the prices went down, or this company was going to do something and now they're going to wait another 6 months. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Crypto, blockchain is a force that is moving forward every waking moment, every sleeping moment, every moment we're alive. Why do I think it's succeeding? That's why.
Awesome. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Just that it's been a privilege speaking with you. Yes, some really great questions. I'm glad to learn more about you and hear your story. And I believe that your journey of impact and inspiration is just beginning.
Nice. Thank you, man. Awesome. Thank you, Joel. I really appreciate it. Guys, check out Joel's. I'm going to leave down the description down below. I'm going to leave links to his website, to his books, to things, his podcast. Check him out. You've seen him here. And yeah, until next time, keep succeeding.
And do good stuff.
And do good stuff.